Hey everybody, I wanted to walk through some of the features of our Microvellum CAD template. So if this is something that you're interested in or you're exploring what benefits come in our template, I want to walk through a lot of the features. And if you're asking yourself, well, what's different than the DuckWorks template from the one that comes with Microvellum, I'm going to walk through exactly that today and show you exactly how it works and really what are the kind of philosophy behind some of the things that we've put into our template. And as I'm doing that, I'm also going to try to demonstrate, how it works and how you can use our template. So while I'm walking through and explaining to you some of the benefits, I'm also going to go through and draw some products to use to demonstrate the benefits and how it works at the same time. And so you'll be able to see here, I can draw in model space and I'm drawing in the plan area. So one of the first benefits, the things that we have always done for our clients, or even when I was setting up templates for myself, is in model space, I always like to have a clear and organized structure. And so that everybody, no matter how many users I have, is working the same way. And the reason I do that is because one, a lot of times if you're working behind other engineers, it can be very confusing if people get messy in model space and you don't know the logic behind how they're laying things out. It's just like on your desk or in your workspace. It's very important to have a consistent order of how things go. And so that's the first thing I usually like to start with is structuring where I put my products. And for that doubles as your plan view. So if you're using Microvellum, you're first getting started out with it, there's some layouts where you might put your products in your 3D. I know some people like to put their 3D in one place, then draw a 2D plan view. I always recommend having them be the same thing because in your viewports, you're able to control and turn off the 3D layers. So anyways, and the next is that having everything obviously organized and laid out. So I have a place for my plan view here, and I always start with plan A, and then elevation A is aligned right directly below it. So I'm just putting some cabinets in here that we can use as an example, and I'm gonna put some upper cabinets in here next. But you'll notice that I have this structure already laid out in model space of where everything goes. I've already got my view labels there. To make this as easy as possible. And I'm just quickly putting in some cabinets using the fill wall with products tool. And just so I have something to work with here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my filler on here. So when I draw an elevation, I have a nice looking complete elevation here. And so now I can draw my 2D wall elevation, and I want to align these right below each other. So I'm just going to pick my wall. And the first thing you'll notice is the way I placed my wall in plan view, I can line up here with my elevation view. And everything comes in very nice right out of the bat. So this is just the template as I installed it right from the download of what you'll get if you purchase it. Let's go in and put some finished ends here. So this looks right. And then I'll be able to show you the first feature, which is our blocking location block on the elevation. So the elevation already comes with this guy here, which if you're doing, for example, AWI shop drawings, they require that you show the location of all your blocking on elevations. and this is for your in-wall blocking that the GC would need to provide. If this isn't something that you need, you can just delete this, but this already starts with where your blocking would need to be. So I just drag it right down. Same thing with this guy. I'm going to drag this down to where my upper blocking would be. And you can stretch these all the way across if you like to show them all the way. And that'll give you your nice dashed lines on elevation. Something else you'll see here, we have these blocks already preset. If I want to go, for example, and change my room properties, let's say I want to rename this current room. I'm in it, so it's my current room. So I'm going to save, and I'm going to open my cover series. So I can go back and rename this room. So let's rename the room. Let's call this break room 101. Rename the drawing file. Okay. So you'll see it automatically populates that field here, and it automatically populates the scale as well. At ArcRef, I can edit this to be easily whatever my architectural ref is. So maybe it's A1 on A102. I can stretch this if I need to, and so on and so forth. You'll also see this scale here. So talking about model space, we provide some structure here. You can change the scale. So if my scale is going to be 1/2 inch, then I could change that as well. And what it does is it changes the scale of what's in model space to correspond to how much space you would have in paper space for that scale. So default is 3/4 of an inch. Obviously you may need to stretch it to be wider or taller, but the idea is a couple of things. One, that it tells you your scale and it sets the scale here. So this field is going to be mapped to whatever you set here. But two, in paper space, if I go here, you'll see this elevation A. And where this becomes important is if you're working behind somebody else and you don't know where anything is, you're coming to this drawing for the first time and it's already laid out, and you say, oh, I need to go update red lines. I need to go find this elevation, and I want to go find a model space. If you've ever worked behind somebody else and you go to model space and say, okay, where the heck is that? And there's 20 views here. This makes it a whole lot easier to know where elevation A is always in the same place. So that makes that super easy. I'll also show you a little bit about our blocks. So as I mentioned, we've got view label blocks. This is a dynamic block that's already mapped. If you want to change this from your view number to something else, you can usually change it there. We also provide a section block. So for your section callouts, this has some features here where you can change to have the flag or not have the flag. I can flip it. I can rotate it. I can edit the text, the view number and sheet number. I can stretch the end flag and the lines in between. So this makes labeling your sections very easy and quick. And layers. Let's talk a little bit about layers. So we have set up pre-populated in here layers to work with Microvellum. And so one, what happens with Microvellum is if you don't have one of their layers, particularly these ones that start with 3D or 2D, these are the layers that Microvellum products draw on. And if they don't exist in your template that you're starting with, and you draw a Microvellum product and it needs that layer, it's just going to create it with default properties, white, continuous, all that stuff. So we've pre-populated these layers, and particularly these 2D layers, and assigned them to colors so that what you see in model space here should correspond to a line weight in your CTB file. Now, many of you maybe saying, well, why would you do line weight by color? I want to assign a line weight to the object or to the layer specifically. And so to that, I would say the reason we recommend setting up line weights by color is for a couple of reasons. One, what you see is what you get. It's very helpful, especially when you're working in a multi-user environment, to always be able to quickly look and know that, hey, this line is red. I can just quickly look, whether I'm in model space or paper space, and know that is going to plot thick. And I know that that is going to plot thick because that is how we have our setting. This is set to a thicker line weight or a specific line weight, right? I can know that by color exactly what things are going to be. And so once you get used to what your colors are set to and what line weights they correspond to, you'll be able to very quickly know, okay, if any object, I don't care what layer it's on, I know that it's going to print that color. So that is first and foremost, is being able to know the line, how thick something's going to plot, just by looking and not having to check the properties of knowing, okay, what specific layer this is on, and then I have to go check here to see what line weight is assigned to that. So that is first. We recommend having line weight by color so that what you see is what you get, and everybody can be trained on your company's colors and line weights that correspond. The second is it allows you to change globally across all DWG's line weights. And so if, for example, you did have things set up where line weight is assigned by layer, and somebody changes that in a DWG, that is only affecting that DWG. So when you get large projects or many projects, and you want to just know that all red across all layers are going to be updated the same, it allows you to treat the CTB file like a set of globals across all of your DWGs. Furthermore, you can actually make multiple CTB files, multiple plot style files, which allow you to quickly change on the fly. So for example, if you maybe have 18 by 24 or 22 by 34 drawings, and you want to plot to scale, plot to fit on 11 by 17, and you want to scale your line weights accordingly, you could have an 11 by 17 line weight plot style, and that it would automatically change things. Another thing I've set up for other clients is they want certain annotations, certain notes only to show up for the shop but not for clients. So maybe you could have a client only plot style and then an internal only plot style. And then in the internal, it would set anything that's on a layer, on a color that's internal only, to not print on your client, but only print on your internal only. So it gives you a lot more flexibility and power in controlling what prints. So that is the logic behind our line weight by color and the way we've set up our layers here. We've already organized them in these groups by 2D and 3D, so you can very quickly come here in your list of layers and filter and group them by what's in 2D and 3D and further customize them for yourselves. I'm going to go ahead and draw a section here. I'm going to draw this by my wall, and I want to do this at 18 so I get through everything. And I didn't check if I did this correctly, left or right. All right, did it correctly. Should be drawing our upper. So the next thing I'm going to show you is we talked about blocking elevations on elevation. So now that I've drawn my section, I can adjust my blocking locations to correspond to where my blocking is in my cabinets, right? So I'm going to put it in the center of my nailers on the upper and lower. So this is a dynamic block that comes in our template with these. And now I know I can pull from here where my blocking should be on my elevation. So this is made possible because, as I mentioned before, maybe I didn't, we have our sections in model space aligned with our elevations as well in model space. So now I can easily pull this down to a line with where I want my blocking based on my section. I somehow got this one right. And then let's pull this one up. So being able to use construction lines is something that is very important when you're working in model space, and having your section views automatically align horizontally with your elevation makes it easy to pull construction lines and work and align things. And then I also, similarly, if you do plan sections, we can do the same thing there as well. And so let's draw a product section. Let's pick this wall. Let's make it a plan section. So we have a place over here to put your plan sections as well. Let's talk about annotations now. So we also have preset up in here annotation styles that are annotative, but then we have a few that are set up with suffixes or already set up in there. So the inch symbols in all of them, but then we have, for example, VIF, standard, FD. So let's say this needed to be field verified, this dimension here. So instead, and a lot of times people might go in and add a suffix here manually, right? You can go in here and add a suffix. We've preset this up, so all you have to do is change the dim style. So I can say VIF, and it automatically changes to this VIF. And then furthermore, we have the plot style here set up to where those will print in color. And you can change this, but for example, we have it preset to where VIF dimensions automatically print red in your PDF, which makes it stand out when your guys in the field come and look at this. If I wanted to change that to, say, after we get it verified, it was already verified. Where is it? FD turns green. So in model space, I know, all right, I've already confirmed that one is FD. And then it changes back to black. So one of the other benefits of line weight by color is you can set specific colors to print in color and control how they work in model space. I'm going to lock this. So going back and talking about annotations, we also have those set up for these various different dimension styles, radius, dimensions that make it very easy to quickly use this. Another quick tip that you might want to do, instead of having to pick and change, because these are in model space, I can just match prop, and I can pick one of these and match properties, and it's going to change the dim style as well. So that becomes a very quick and easy tool to use, is match properties. Similarly for hatches, because we have all these hatches preset in here as well, you can quickly match properties for the hatches for your sections or anywhere you want to use those hatches. Another feature of the way we have things laid out in model space is everything aligns. It makes it very easy to get to what you need in paper space. So for example, say I had multiple other sections. Say I needed to draw another section and draw facing left, and I had a third section all of a sudden that I needed way over here. So then let's say I need a new page. I'm going to move and create a new page. Rename this 101.03. And now I need to get to, in model space, this vertical section 3. So if I stretch this up so I can see, okay, I'm on vertical section 2. I need to get to vertical section 3. So I can just stretch this over, wrong way, going left, until I see vertical section 3. Awesome. And then I can move that. Another trick that I like to use is so I can just stretch it and keep the size until I get to where I can see my other view. And then I can move this back onto my page. So we'll talk about some of the other dynamic blocks that we also provide in here. So we mentioned earlier, I talked about the view labels. These are dynamic blocks with fields pre-populated. We have the section callouts. We also have some of these detail callouts that work very much the same as the section callouts, but you can flip them. You can stretch what they cover. And then we also have just these view labels that, again, you can rotate and use accordingly. We have some additional ones like elevation tags with leaders, multi-leaders, different scaled leaders. We have grain direction blocks that can be flipped, horizontal, vertical. We have a break line that's dynamic. We have some Z-clips, blocking blocks that can be stretched, your sides, a cleat, and various other ones. We also have some line types here preset for if you use to lay out trim in a reference plan or RCP. So we've tried to pack this thing chock full of valuable blocks that make things easy for you. So the last thing I want to go through is the title blocks. And the biggest thing that we have created with this is there's project properties at both the project level and the room level. So first at the project level, you have properties for everything from project name. So I'm going to call this DuckWorks headquarters remodel. I'm going to update the date to today when I'm filming this. All these properties that you can use to update your title block, and it automatically populates this information to your title block, right? And then you also have room properties, so where you can update revisions. So I can put revised by me for review. Same thing, I can update the title block, and it's going to put the revision date here in the title block. There's some other things like the sheet number is automatically populated from what you put in the layout. This is populating from the file name. So when we rename the room, it does that. We have this plot date, which automatically populates from today's date when you plot it. And then this information, which here makes this follow AWI standards of what needs to be in your title block information. And so all of this is pre-set up to make it easy as possible when you're setting up your job. And again, if I go to my cover series and update that one as well, all of this information that is here, which is required for, if you go to awinet.org and look at their submittal standards, AWI 100 submittals, they have outlined in there things that are required for AWI compliant submittals. That includes the design architect information, their contact information, the contractor contact information, and then who is the manufacturer of the job. So this would be your information, your company information, the AWI standard grade being premium or what it might be, and then some other information. Things we've also included here, elevator. So this can be very valuable to include on your cover series. We've found is a place to verify your elevator information, reminding you guys in the field or to check this and get these field verified, what space you have if you have an elevator on the job. So you can pull that in if there's an elevator on the job, make sure you check that. Making sure that you have an index as well is very important, and we put symbols, legends in here, so this corresponds to everything that we've provided. Obviously you can edit this for your own. And then RFI and deviation report. So this is something that is required in AWI as well, is anywhere you're going to deviate from specs, notifying and submitting that separately. But in general, we find this helpful. Having a finished schedule, material schedule, hardware schedule, these are also all part of their AWI requirements, and in general, just great recommendations to have on all jobs. And having this in your template gives your team a checklist of the things that they need to make sure that they put in the drawings to make things go smoothly. Typical details, obviously you can edit these for yours, but we find it helpful to have typical details that get filled out for each job. A lot of these are standard, what your fillers are, what your toe kicks are, but you can also customize these. For example, if pole locations, a lot of times this is a question that comes up that's not explicitly dimensioned anywhere else, and so you can have this as a typical dimension detail. And then a place, if you submit cut sheets for hardware cut sheets, you can easily place those as well in your cover series, so they're in there for the whole job. The last thing I'm going to walk you through is the structure. So I'm going to create another room first to make this make sense. And actually, let's show kitchen 102, for example. I'm going to use my room template, open and update title block. So part of the whole structure of all this is that we recommend breaking up your projects in Microvellum by room or by area and having a different DWG for each file. So you'll notice, first if I go to open file location, behind all this in your project, you're going to have, just like you have rooms in your room list, we have a drawing for our cover, a drawing for our reference plans, and a drawing for each room. And so if you come from a background of being used to the whole job is in one drawing, this can be a little bit confusing at first or disconcerting, but I assure you that it makes things a lot more organized as you go forward. First and foremost, your drawing files will be much smaller and easier to load. They will run faster. Everything stays more clearly organized that way. Two, when it comes time to plot and publish, it's much easier to organize, so you're not generally going to release a whole job altogether. You're going to release by room or by work order. So it's much easier to group things and just work in one drawing. I can do all the products in this room and I can very easily print. And so AutoCAD and Microvellum have this feature called Publish. And I can easily just choose. And so I'm going to go choose and I can just go pick my cover, my floor plan, and I can selectively choose what I want to include very easily, right? So I can have the room I want to include, my cover series, and very easily only include what I need. And it makes it a lot easier to print per work order. It also makes it so multiple people can work on the job at the same time. So I can be working in one room, you can be working in another engineer in another, and there's no conflict. So this is a quick overview of most of the features that we have. There's more detail we can get into and we'll be releasing in future videos, but I hope this really helps outline some of the benefits.